Hey everybody, hey everybody, welcome, it's Spiritual Healthcare Time, day 57, welcome, it is good to see everybody this morning, this is awesome, we finally have nice weather here, this is really cool, so I hope you guys are doing amazing this morning. We got kind of a fun half hour coming at us, which I'm really looking forward to. So welcome to everyone that's coming online. It's always good to see you guys every day. We've been doing this for 57 days. 57 days. It's amazing. So welcome everyone. I hope you guys have had an awesome evening and are beginning your Saturday. It's like one great big long weekend right now for a lot of people. Good morning, Patricia and Des and Will. Nice to see you guys. Good morning to everyone. It's just crazy. It's like this long weekend. For me, it hasn't been a weekend at all. It's like every single day I've been working and building on both my projects, EntitySeeker, as well as Snake and Pyre, which is my fire show and whatnot. So both have been working. Chris says nice gloves. Thank you. You know what? These are so cool. These are so cool. It's the Raven, and all written on them is Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Yeah, so cool. This is cool. It's really cool. These are from a company called Story Arts, and I love them. I fell in love with them. I'm an Edgar Allan Poe fan, so I think his stuff is amazing. And the people that were around him at the time too, right? Like Ralph Waldo Emerson and stuff like that. So I'm just a fan of theirs. That time in literature was so cool, and The Raven was such a fascinating piece of work that, so cool. Years ago, here's a tidbit for you. So years ago, when I was back in high school, I actually did a production of The Fall of the House of Usher. Yeah, speaking of Edgar Allan Poe, right? So I did The Fall of the House of Usher, and it was a really, really awesome production. It was super cool. Good morning from the United Kingdom and the States and everybody. Hello, Amanda. Nice to see you. It's so good to have you. I love seeing where everybody's from. It's just it's so cool for me to see where everybody's coming in from. You know, I got messages the other day from South Africa and Carolina and like all over the States and South America. It's just the neatest thing for me. I love it. I love to be able to bring everybody and connect us all together, because in times like this, especially lately, a lot of people are feeling lonely. They feel that they're by themselves and whatnot. And I think being able to come together like this every single day and being able to connect every single day is like, it's just super important. It's super important knowing that we are not by ourselves, right? So today I wanted to do something kind of cool. I wanted to, because I've been getting a ton of emails and questions and all of these things, which I just have, I love getting your emails and questions, you guys. If I don't get back to you right away, I have to say, if I don't get back to you right away, it's because there's like a ton in my inbox right now. So I'm working through them and I'm catching as many as I can. So, good morning, Dawn. Nice to see you. Sally was saying she did prose reading from A Telltale Heart in Catholic school. Oh my gosh. Oh, that would totally stir some questions. I love it. I think it's places like that though that's, stuff like that needs to be read. It's being able to break outside people's comfort zones and be able to step into this new arena and a new story within places like within places like that, but that maybe need that push, right? In that other direction. I'm reading a book right now, and we've been covering Walt Whitman, and Walt Whitman, of course, around the same time as Poe. For those of you guys who missed the gloves, they're just so cool. It's The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe. So I mean, it's so interesting because he was one of those people that really broke the walls down and started to break the barrier down. As he's struggling with concepts like slavery and and all of these different, paradigm shifts that are happening in his world in New Orleans and New York, and, getting the attention of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And of course, he's struggling at that time with his sexuality. He might be gay, all of these different things. So it's fascinating. So I think being able to take literature like that and be able to push the boundary into places that, have closed their minds to it, I think it's important. It's important. It starts the conversation, right? And people are not always receptive to it, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So today I wanted to get into sort of a Q&A, because as I said, I've been getting so many emails, so many questions and things like that, and I've been getting a few that have been coming up again and again and again. So I thought I would go through those today, and also talk about decision making, what my decisions have been. Most people don't know how to make a decision. Isn't that funny? They don't. They have no idea. They have no idea how to make a decision. And it's so interesting, because we all think we make decisions in our life all the time, but not many people actually truly sit down and make a choice, because a decision changes our beingness. Okay, a decision is something where every bit of us, every cell, our heart, mind, body, are all aligned with the same purpose, and we don't often do that. We usually are all over the place. So we're going to chat about that as well. So I wanted to go through some of the questions that I've been getting. So hopefully some of your questions will get answered throughout this. And I've got such a cool to-do for you guys. The to-do is actually not until June, but you can mark your calendars for it. So the question that I've been getting, probably one of the most frequent questions has been, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been with EntitySeeker? So here's the thing. So I started when I was really, really young. Okay, really young. I was fascinated when I was like 9 into this stuff, and I gave you guys yesterday the program that, as I say, that I grew up on, which was Sightings. And how long have I been doing this? It's been nearly 20 years. It's been nearly 20 years for myself, and that's with EntitySeeker being built. And things like that. So EntitySeeker started in 2003, so 2003, and it began to get. I started off with another group who it didn't work out. They didn't like the fact that my best friend and my business partner Stephanie was in a wheelchair, and that became just a massive point of contention. And they thought she was a liability, and I said, I'm out. You don't want her, then I'm out. I'm not doing this. So I just said, if you don't want her, then you don't want me either. And we left that, and then we began to we formed EntitySeeker, and we wanted to do something that was different, apart from just going to locations, and doing the same thing again and again and again. What we wanted to do was to be able to invest our time in a way that was moving people forward. And we were beginning to see, as we were building EntitySeeker up, we started to see these patterns that eventually became Teaching the Living. And we wanted to integrate that into teaching and programs, and expand past where we were seeing this other organization go. And we managed to do that. And it wasn't long after that we started doing our first small little workshops. We had a place in her condo building at the time that we would rent out, and it was gorgeous. It was great, and it had a full kitchen and everything, so that people could come and we could do food, and we'd sit and do these workshops, and it was the coolest thing. And we did that for years and years and years, as people would come to these programs that we would offer. And so it's been like, that was like 20 years ago, which is crazy. But yeah, worth it. It was 100% worth it. So we started that way. So the other question I've been getting has been, so when did you become interested in the paranormal, which I kind of answered. What was your first case? This is another one. What was your first case that I ever got? So, okay, so this is cool. So the first official case, I had been experiencing stuff when I was young, over and over and over again throughout all like the houses I was living in and things like that. My first actual case was not even in the city. I was called out of the city. It was in Calgary, and I ended up going out and staying at a client's house for about a week. And I ended up it had to do with her daughter, this woman's daughter, and her experiences. She was super in tune with stuff, like really in tune with stuff, and not good stuff. It wasn't fun because her parents were in this really rocky relationship, and her dad was sort of pick and choosy religious. Let's call it that. Like one day he would be, it just almost like a zealot, and then another day he just, nothing existed, and that was it. It was very strange. So anyway, it was a test for me, because not only was I able to work with the family to try to get things rolling in the right direction, but to be able to interact on that level and so closely with a family that was experiencing this stuff, and being able to deal with this little girl she was about, I don't know, she's about 5, I guess, 5, 6 maybe at the time. But it was absolutely fascinating. So that was my first case. I was called out to do that. And then the second one, as a group, which was really interesting, was a case in Fort Edmonton Park, which is here in Edmonton. It's like a heritage center. And that was really intriguing, because the house in and of itself, it was the Firkins family used to live here in Edmonton, so it's their home, and it's been moved kind of all over the city, and it finally ended up being in this heritage park called Fort Edmonton Park. And we were asked in twice, and it was the first case I did that was covered by the press, our main newspaper here, the Edmonton Journal, and then by CBC. They came in and did a documentary on us. Taking a look at this place, and it was really, really cool. So it was the first time I ended up on the front page of the Edmonton Journal for that, which was really cool. The poor photographer, this is so funny. So the poor photographer, who was a complete 100% skeptic, didn't believe in any of this stuff, like nothing. And he ended up catching a photo that scared the living hell out of him. He couldn't explain it, and it had to do with me sitting in a chair, and there was this purple light distortion that just shouldn't have been there, and he couldn't understand it. So that tipped him off. That was really good. It was fun. So one of the other questions that I've been getting frequently has been, what is the strangest case you've ever dealt with? What is the weirdest thing you've ever... Oh my God. That is such a tall order, because honestly, the strangest cases that I've gotten usually don't have anything to do with the entity. It's usually the people. So probably the weirdest case that I've had, it's always the people, man. I'm telling you. Stephanie and I were we met them because we always meet the clients in a third-party location. So we'd bring them to a third-party location, have the interview, talk to them, and whatever. And this woman was experiencing, or said she was experiencing, some poltergeist activity. She was, things were moving by themselves, all this, weird things going on in the house. She was reporting electronics turning on and off, all of these crazy anomalies that were going on, that she was saying, I really need help. And she's like, nobody believes me. No one believes me. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. I don't know what to do. If you guys could come over and take a look, that would be great. So we get the address and whatever. And we end up going to this house. And anyway, long story short, it turns out that this person was actually a television-worthy hoarder. Okay, hoarder. And it was, and I felt so bad for her. My heart went out to her, because it was, her place was piled high with stuff, like right to the ceiling. And so what was happening, long story short, what was happening was that the stuff that was going on in the house actually had to do with the fact that she was a hoarder. Things were falling off piles. That's what was going on. The house was very old. She had old electronics. Everything was plugged into places that it shouldn't have been, and whatnot. So there were power issues that were going on. There were shorts and breakers blowing and all sorts of things like that. And you could barely get through the house. You could barely get up the stairs or through the house or anything. And so by the time that we, you know, went through and took a look and realized what was going on, that stuff was falling off of these piles, we had to basically sit her down and say, you know, are you acknowledging the fact that, you know, this is a problem? And she refused. She absolutely refused. It was like, nope, you know, this is a ghost. There's paranormal stuff going on in the house. That's what it is. That's it. And I don't want to hear anything else. So the pattern began to develop very quickly as to, you know, the reasons why everybody, you know, thought she was crazy or whatever. But, you know, it wasn't the fact people thought she was crazy at all. They just, you know, they just knew and could observe what was going on. Marge is saying she'd rather believe it was a ghost. Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing, is that rather than acknowledging and understanding where the problem was, she would rather have believed that this was something paranormal that was going on. And it was just one of those situations that we've talked about this on spiritual healthcare so many times, is acknowledging where you are in order to get where you want to be and get where the answers are. And this was one of those cases. It was an extreme case, obviously. But it was one of those things where it was easier for her to put the problem on something else. And in this case, she'd made up the fact that it was this ghost. The computer and whatnot, I mean, it was turning on and off by itself. But again, it was extremely old. And the computer had to have been from the 90s or so. So it was, it was so outdated, you'd never be able to update it. And we sat down, we had this long talk with her about, understanding that, her actions, her state of mind, her behavior was contributing to what was going on. And the fact that even if there was paranormal phenomenon going on, the one thing, we had to tell her was, until this stuff gets sorted out, until we can get a baseline, which includes, proper electromagnetic readings and measurements, making sure the wiring was correct so that we're not being influenced by high electromagnetics, because that was one of the problems in the home. It was an older home. So there were so many things that were going on. And then on top of it, you just couldn't move. There was just tunnels everywhere, these pathways. So it was a health hazard for her and everybody else. So yeah, but there was no convincing her. There was absolutely no convincing her. So that was one of my stranger cases. Yeah, it was very interesting. Very nice lady. But that was a troublesome one. So another question that I keep getting really frequently is, what do you do to communicate with spirits? What do I do? What's my go-to? I love this question because, there really isn't necessarily a one thing that I do necessarily. I mean, the one thing that I've learned over the years that I think is so important for everybody to get is the fact that they are aware. They are aware of us. This is not something that we have to have a medium for or anything like that. We don't. We all have the ability to do that. So there's that part of it. But one of the things that I've found that has been so effective is that, of course, the spirits or the loved ones that I am, looking to talk to, looking to have those interactions with, are definitely in the emotional range of pure positive energy and joy and all of those things. That is one thing I know for absolute certain. And so the one thing I do when I'm, invested in speaking to a loved one or something like that is being able to still my mind, being able to get myself into that place of peace and let my emotional state carry itself to happiness, because that's our core state. It really is our core state, which we go back to once we cross over. Once we have the death experience, we go back to that pure positive joy. So getting myself to that state, so I'm resonating at a vibrational level with exactly what I want and where they are, and then being able to open that communication, whether it be through writing stuff down, whether it be through, just speaking out loud, whether it be through whatever works. Sometimes it's just being able to sit and speak it in your own head. I know a lot of people do that. And then just allow the answers to come. Just allow the answers to show up. And it might not show up how you think it will. You know, a lot of people are waiting for this, you know, great glowing apparition to appear in front of them. And it just usually doesn't work that way. You know, oftentimes too, we get communications through emotions. You know, that it doesn't always look like words or, you know, as I say, apparitions that are moving back and forth and all of these things. So we have to be aware of that as well, as the fact that, you know, the communication comes through all of these different factors. And when we get into that pure positive energy, when we lift ourselves to that space, that communication just flows. And then here's the other part of that. And then when I'm doing that, I can then trust that what I'm getting is real. What I'm getting is not, you know, an entity that's you know, bluffing as somebody else. I can trust the communication that I'm getting because I'm resonating with that pure positive energy. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it, and it works absolutely. You know, every single time. But being able to still your mind and continuing to clean up your stuff. That's the other part of it. So a lot of people will ask as well, what do you do before you go into an investigation? Here's one that I've been getting frequently. What do you do when you're going into an investigation to protect yourself? So a lot of people have asked this over the years, and this is one that I've been getting an email and I get on my tours quite frequently also. So here's the thing about protection. You know, a lot of people believe that if they're, you know, if they can do something or do some ritual in a state of, you know, from a state of, if I do this thing, then I'm going to be okay. They believe that ultimately is going to stop, you know, something negative from happening to them or something like that. If that ritual puts you in a good state of mind before you're moving into an investigation or research or whatever you're doing, then do it. If it puts you into a good state of mind, that's the key. That's the key. So my ritual before I go into a case or anything like that is I grab my journal and I write a paragraph on something that I really love. Because again, it comes down to what state of being are you in before you go into a situation like this? Because your state of being is going to attract what you get. So I'm careful about that. I don't bring the baggage from my day into where I'm going. I don't. Leave it at home. It's got to stay at home. It's got to like leave it somewhere else, but don't bring it with you. Clean up your stuff. Because that's what's gonna make the big difference. So in terms of like physical things that I do for protection, wearing things or anything like that, I don't. It's all the vibration. It's all what I know I'm going to attract, and my state of expectation going in as well. I'm very careful about my state of expectation. When I get there, here's the other part of it. When I get there, if I'm dealing with a negative entity in a home, how I bring my energy into the space matters. And this is one thing I end up training my my clients on as well, is how they're bringing themselves into the space. I find often that a lot of these entities, the negative ones can be very territorial, and they're almost like pack animals in a way. So they're looking for a hierarchy, and usually they've already established their little hierarchy in your house, which is usually not fun. It's usually the problem. And you know, you've got people who are afraid of them, and they're kind of lower on the totem pole. They're lower in the pack. If you look at the family at that point, like almost like a wolf pack, you know, and we look at where that entity, and if it's moved itself to sort of that alpha, that alpha dog that's now in the front, it's looking for everybody else to kind of step back and be subservient to that. So I'm very careful about how I bring my energy in. I'm always calm. I'm always assertive. I've got, you know, I know my space. I keep my space. And you know, I maintain that sort of calm assertiveness when I'm moving into the home. So it's clear energetically who I am, what I'm doing there, and how I expect to be treated, and where I expect to be put on that totem pole. And I've never had a problem. So that's been those have been my cues, and that, as I say, it's something I end up taking my clients through as well. Is this is how we move. This is how you're going to change how you move, because when you're moving in fear, when you're moving with your head down and you're looking over your shoulder, you're waiting on a level that you're sending an energetic message that's not good. You end up lower on the totem pole. So you don't know who you are. Step into your space and be able to know your boundaries, assert the boundaries, and expect them to be followed. So that's what I usually do. So that leads into the one part that I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow, because we're kind of running out of time, which is making decisions about life, and it can be something as simple as what I just described. But making decisions and understanding the impact of those decisions with our entire state of being able to sit down and make it clear as to what it is that we are actually wanting. And this is one thing that I did when I started to form EntitySeeker. It applies to all the questions that I've just answered. That's been a massive portion of my experience going through this field, is making decisions about who I want to be seen as, who I want to see reflected back to me in the mirror, and what my vision is for EntitySeeker moving forward. I had to make a decision, and that decision isn't something that you end up wavering on. Your decision can be flexible. You can turn around it, because there is no bloody straight road to success in anything. There's no straight road. It just isn't. You're going to be all over the place. But, and being flexible is so important. But being able to make the decision so that you can see very clearly when something moves into that space that's not quite right, when something becomes unacceptable, you're out. And you're able to identify it. So I want to talk more about that tomorrow, because I think it's so key, and develop and start to look at how we do that, to make sure that mind, body, soul, source, everything's in alignment, and we move with clear, focused decision, and that, which is one of the keys to being a paranormal researcher in any area of this, is having the ability to have the vision, make the decision, be clear. It shapes our reality, it really does. So that being said, I have an awesome reading for us today. Faith in the Valley, Miss Iyanla Van Zandt. She's so amazing. She has a fantastic live stream as well. I love her stuff. So I wanted to offer this to you guys, because I think this is so key about decisions, and I wanted to give you this today. And and we have an awesome new guest today from India. Oh, India, I love it. Hello, India. So any spiritual connection, any messages, you're looking for messages from any spirits around you. So, okay. So as I say, go back on this video, because you've probably just joined us, and re-watch this. So all of our classes are on entityseeker.ca, as well as, youtube.com/entityseeker, and you will find the answer to that question and how to do that for you during this class, because I think that's a fantastic question, and it's not something that I can do for you. It's something you got to do for yourself. So, but all the steps are in here today. So this will be up, and it'll be up. The replay will be on Facebook here as well. So check this out, you guys. Remember what happened the last time you second-guessed yourself, or let people talk you out of what you had decided to do. Have you forgotten what happened when you changed your mind back and forth 6 times and settled on doing what you thought would make them happy? Don't you remember what happened the last time you didn't pay attention to yourself, didn't trust yourself? You ended up in trouble. For most of us, it is extremely difficult to believe we can really believe in ourselves. It always seems easier to trust other people, to listen to someone else. Most of the time, we never realize that when we don't trust ourselves, we are prone to let little setbacks and little people take us off our mission. As soon as things get a little tough, a little tight, a little hot, we start to worry. That worry leads us to negative self-talk and ultimately self-doubt. What will it take for us to realize how powerful we are? how powerful our minds are. Sooner or later, we will understand that we are our first line of defense and reference. It would be very wise to listen to yourself carefully. You never know when you will say exactly what you need to hear. Exactly what you need to hear. Yeah. We don't think of ourselves as a resource. We don't, but we are. We are such a resource for making these decisions, and we're so busy trying to wait for other people to do it. It's just crazy. So we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. So the process today that I want to offer you guys is that take a look at that for yourself. Start to think about things for tomorrow that you want to make decisions on. What do you want to get clear about? What has been missing? And bring them with you tomorrow, okay? Bring them with you tomorrow. I want to hear them all in the chat. Bring them with you and start to take a look at what you need to be clearer on. Maybe it's with others, maybe it's with you, maybe it's all of those things. So take a look at that. So the to-do that I wanted to give you guys is so neat. So on June the 21st, I'm going to find it here because I'm going to bring it all up. I'm going to bring it all up for you guys to go to and visit. On Sunday morning, the summer solstice takes place at Stonehenge every June 20, like every summer solstice, right? And they do a special event through a society called English Heritage. And it's amazing. And of course, every year, like huge amounts of people get together. They join it at Stonehenge. And of course, this year doesn't look like that's going to be happening, right? But here's the thing. So they are going to instead broadcast this online so that everybody can join in celebrating the summer solstice at Stonehenge. And I love this because not only does it break in, the new summer, the new weather, things budding, everything, just moving into ease and warmer weather and whatnot, but it really starts to give us a hallmarker as to, motion forward on a brighter day. So I'm going to post a link so that on June 21st, you guys can check out the summer solstice at Stonehenge and join in because it's really cool. It's super, super cool. So that being said, everybody, our health affirmations every day. We go in, we get peaceful, got to go into our day with the right energy. So everybody take a breath. It is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I only have to gently and eventually release this illness. It doesn't matter how it got started because it's reversing its course right now. And there's no hurry about any of this. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. My cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and Source is answering those requests. I am in very good hands. My only work is to relax and breathe, and I can do that easily. Everybody take a breath. Let that all settle in. So I'm going to let you guys go so that you guys can start thinking about decisions because, man, we got to bring something to the table tomorrow. We got work to do, whether you're an investigator, whether you're, just going back into your job, whether you're going back into just life, dealing with stuff at home, whatever it is for you. Decisions is what we're doing tomorrow. Know how to make them and make them super clear. So thank you guys so much for another wonderful morning. And for those who are new, as I say, please check out the other classes and share them with people. start watch parties, do stuff like that where you can, you know, bring people together and have a conversation about this. There's one neighborhood down in the States right now it's an entire neighborhood that has now begun to watch spiritual healthcare and are participating and starting to change their world one neighborhood at a time, which is, so I think, is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, so let's bring people in and get the conversation going. I will see you guys tomorrow, Sunday morning, spiritual healthcare. Thanks everybody. Bye.